Hey, what's up, YPR? This is Luke Hessler here, and today I want to touch on something that's pretty near and dear to my heart because it's something that I've learned throughout this whole Vima journey, and it's really changed my life. My perspective not just on this is not something that can help you just in Vima, but in life in general, guys. And that thing is excuses and excuse making. And, I was the ultimate excuse maker before Vima. I was. And if anything ever happened wrong, I'd blame somebody else. It couldn't have been my fault. It's because this happened, this happened, this happened. I never looked in the mirror and said it was my fault. But, Vima taught me that you really have to do that sometimes in order to succeed. And, my old basketball coach used to say, excuses are like butts. We all have them and they all stink. And I didn't realize how true that statement was until Vima came. If you guys ever watched that Will Smith video, he talks about how people think that greatness is this, this elusive, this esoteric thing that's only in a few of us. Those who were born for it, those who were got lucky or something like that, guys. And it's not. It's within all of us. You got to remember, when I first started Verb, I was not Luke Hessler making $6,000 a month and going out and starting this thing in Michigan. All right, I was Luke Hessler making no money, the Vima kid trying to go out and try and scam everybody else into doing this. That was my reputation when I first started this, guys. And you have to realize that I could have sat there and I could have made an excuse and be like, okay, this doesn't work, blame the model, but I didn't. All right, on YPR, this is something that anyone can do because I'm nothing special at all. All right, I'm a normal person just like you, and that's what you have to realize. We're all human beings, man. That's it. We're all human beings. We're all the same person. The only difference with me is that I made a decision to make this work. In YPR, I hear a lot of excuses. A lot of people come up to me, like, I don't have the money to do this anymore. I don't have the time. I don't have any more friends to talk to. I don't have any credibility. No one believes me that this is going to work. I understand it. I understand that you're making excuses, and but at the same time, like Alex Morton says, you can make excuses or make money. All right, because I understand where you're coming from because that used to be me. But at the same time, in this business, you can't be like that and plan to be successful. You just can't be. So my story, guys, you got to remember when I first started this, I remember I don't tell you these things to try and brag. I don't tell you these things to try and boast. I tell you these things to try and inspire you, to show you what's possible. And remember when I first started this thing, guys, I was the only kid in Michigan doing this. All right, my buddy Evan Schultz signed me up via Skype from Arizona. All right, and he was my only upline support. All right, I didn't have anyone making serious money. He was made like $500. All right, already doing this thing, and he really didn't even understand exactly how to work, exactly how to make this thing roll yet. So, I didn't have any upline support when I started this. There's no proof of payment. There's no system put in place. And when I started, I didn't even have any product. In my first 4 days, I got 17 of my fraternity brothers to sign up like that. And why did I do that? How did that happen? One, I was just pumped. And two, I went to them and I just said, trust me. And I was like, guys, please trust me. This is going to be huge. Went home for Christmas break. Guess what? Came back expecting they all were, over that Christmas break, I thought they were all going to tell their friends from all the different colleges, all going to go off, and this was just going to explode. All right? But it didn't work that way. They didn't tell anybody. And I came home for Christmas break and wake up, call Luke Hessler, all my friends quit. All right, every single one of them. And at that point, I had to make a choice. I remember sitting down and looking at my back office and realizing that everyone quit on me and thinking, like, geez, I don't know what I'm going to do. I remember thinking that I can either sit here and make an excuse and blame the business model, blame the system, blame the company, say it doesn't work, and then be mad because I lost money, or I can go out and be like, okay, well, obviously this is working for other people, because when I started this, Alex Morton, he was platinum in this, and he was the only success story of a YPR that there was. He was only platinum, not really that, it's impressive, but nothing like where he is now, making $30,000 a month. All right, so it's like, obviously it works for some people, so I can either sit here and make excuses, or I can learn from it, and I can become more and try and make something. You can either dwell on your mistakes or learn from them, guys, and I decided to learn from them. And, I realized that, I went out and from that point on, I had to build my team. I destroyed my warm market, all right? I destroyed it. And because I messed up, I was the verb guy, which none of you guys should be. And I sat there and I had to build my team off random people that I went out and found. And people asked me, so how'd you build your team off randoms? You had no credibility. You weren't making any money. Well, you want to know why, dude? Because I got told no thousands of times. All right, I would say I've been told no thousands of times. I would definitely say that. And, because when I went to my friends and I went to a person and I told them about this and they said they thought it was a pyramid scheme. Rather than going in and complaining, going to my upline and being like, oh my gosh, all my friends think this is a pyramid scheme, what am I going to do? All right, I went home, All right, and I looked online. I'm like, okay, they all think it's a pyramid scheme. Why is this not a pyramid scheme? I looked into it. That way, next time my friend tells me I think this is a pyramid scheme, I could tell them, well, actually, it's not because of this. All right. Then when they tell me, some people go up to tell you they don't have any money. All right. And then you can go out, you can make excuses and come to your upline and be like, oh my gosh, all my friends, none of them have the money to do this thing. I don't know what I'm going to do. But guess what, dude? I've had kids sell their Xbox to do this. I've had kids take out loans from the bank to do this. I've had kids sell their snowboards. I've had kids sell their MacBooks. You name it, I've had it happen. And you know what that means? That tells you it's that your friends, it's not that they don't have the money. All right, they just don't see the value in it. They don't understand it. So what are you going to do? You're going to go home and you're going to be like, okay, how can I show my friends? How can I show these people, not even my friends maybe, just randoms like I had to do, how am I going to show these random people who I've never met before in my entire life, all right, how am I going to show you the value of this? And you keep learning, you keep practicing until you figure out how to make it work. Someone says they don't have any time, all right? All my friends say they don't have any time to do this. Well, dude, figure out how to show them that this doesn't take time. You don't have to change your day at all. It's just simply while you're walking to class, instead of texting some random person, and Snapchatting someone, go ahead and send them a text about Verve. All right, instead of going through and snooping through people's profiles on Facebook, just go and send them a message about Verve. It's not this hard, guys, but the problem is that everyone always blames others and makes excuses for why they're not successful when all the answers are really within. Sometimes you just have to suck it up and be like, you know what, I'm going to do this. You have to make a decision, all right, that this is going to work for you no matter what. And I know any of you guys can do this. I know everyone can do this, guys. And it's like, I'm just so passionate about this, as you can tell. And why is it? It's because I know that I'm normal, all right? I know I'm such an average person. And if I am such this average person and I could make it work with nothing, all right, no support, no proof of payment, no credibility, no money, no upline, no system in place, no anything, all right, I know for a fact every single one of you guys out there can make it with what we have now. All right, we got kids making $30,000 a month. All right, we have a system put in place where if you do it, it'll work, all right? The goal of this is to create a system where it doesn't matter if you're a college or a high school dropout or a Harvard graduate. You do what you say, you do what we say, it'll work, all right? Period, every time. And that system is now in place, guys. We have Facebook groups with thousands of kids in it from all across the country. This company has actually turned its focus on the YPR to show you guys how legitimate this thing is. And it's like, guys, do not say this doesn't work. This can work for you. This can work for anyone. Just realize that. Sometimes you just have to believe in yourself. And that's the only thing standing in between you and everything you've ever wanted. Whether it be in Verve or whether it be in life. You just have to go out there and you have to want it more than anything. And you got to put those blinders on and not care what other people think. Because guess what? I wasn't always Luke Hessler making $6,000 a month from Verve. All right. Now my reputation on campus is the kid making bank who's gone out and started this whole Verve movement and helping kids make money. When I first started, my reputation was that Verve guy that was trying to scam everybody. And you got to realize that, anything great doesn't come easy in life. Anything great, anything worthwhile doesn't come easy. But, I'm going to have to say that if you're going to be a professional athlete, you want to find greatness in other places, professional athlete, all right, you got to be playing that sport since you were like 5. You're working on it every day. You keep going. That's all your life is about, that sport. All right, since you were like 5. All right, if you're gonna be a singer, dude, you gotta write countless numbers of songs. You gotta practice and practice and practice for years and years and years. For this dude to find greatness in this, it's just a few months. All right, I guarantee you, if you give this thing 4 months of just making it your life, letting it engulf you, letting it become you, and going out and doing this thing, you will be successful. I promise. I promise you. And how do I know this? Is because I know it worked for me. And, I look at where I was at that time. I look at your guys' opportunity now, guys, and you guys have it, man. And this is happening. This is a movement, dude, and we're changing the way this generation thinks. All right, we're showing people a way to believe in themselves and really go out there and create their own, create their own future, guys, and take control of their life. But, with that, guys, the last thing I want to say is something that Alex Morton said that I love more than one of my favorite quotes. He said, you can go out there, you can make excuses, or you can make money. All right, make excuses and make money. Look in the mirror, and rather than dwelling on the fact that people are saying no to you, ask yourself why they're saying no and learn from it. But with that, guys, I want to come out. I'll talk to you guys next time. Hope you guys all had a great Thanksgiving. And get ready for an explosion, dude, because this thing is going crazy. All right, later, team.